Welcome to the second video of the holiday program on the history of Alphonse Szilágyi. In the first video, we looked at the psychology of crowds according to the theory of Gustave Le Bon. One of the most important modern thinkers on the subject of power is Max Weber. Let's take a look at his definition of power. Power means every opportunity to assert one's own will within a social relationship, even against resistance, regardless of what this opportunity is based on. Accordingly, one's own will is also enforced if the other party in this social relationship is against it. The social relationship is important because a powerful person who stands all alone in wide open space cannot exercise power. An effective power relationship ends when the possibility of enforcing the will of the powerful person no longer exists. According to Max Weber, rule requires the consent of the ruled and must be legitimate. This is not the case with power. Power cannot be possessed. It is tied to action and is asymmetrical. In the power relationship, one person is always more powerful. Otherwise, the power relationship does not work. For Max Weber, rule is a heightened form of power. A relationship of rule has a simple structure: command and obedience. In the modern state, the bureaucracy becomes the bearer of power. A staff of civil servants enforces orders. Max Weber represents a turning point in the history of theories of power. He shifts the focus from the ruler to the obedience motives of the ruled. For National Socialism, rule is based on the belief in the holiness of heroic power of the person of a charismatic leader. At this point, I simply have to mention the Jewish philosopher Hannah Arendt. She observed the trial of the Nazi criminal Adolf Eichmann, who was sentenced to death in 1961. In 1963, she published her observations in the book Eichmann in Jerusalem, a report on the banality of evil. Hannah Arendt, the Jewish woman who herself fled into exile from the National Socialists, describes Eichmann, who was responsible for the murder of 6 million people, as a normal person, who was merely career-orientated and not even particularly anti-Semitic. He would only have followed orders and was a civil servant just as described by Max Weber. Hannah Arendt considered Eichmann guilty because he could have decided differently. Hannah Arendt describes that totalitarian rule as practiced by the National Socialists is based on the elements of ideology and terror. Ideology is based on a binding worldview that permeates the whole of social life. Terror is an end in itself in totalitarian rule. If necessary, enemies are invented that must be eliminated, and once this has been done, new ones are invented. When the terror stops, the totalitarian system is finished. The National Socialists chose the Jews as their enemies. Hannah Arendt was Jewish and described the total rule of the National Socialists from her own experience as follows. It was as if an empty space formed around you. As a Jew, she was very quickly isolated after the establishment of the Nazi dictatorship. Do you notice anything? I am deliberately not talking about the seizure of power. This term was used by Nazi propaganda. The National Socialists did not win an absolute majority in the 1933 elections, but became the strongest party. The NSDAP was elected. It did not stage a coup and did not actively seize power. In addition to Chancellor Hitler, the first Hitler government had 2 other National Socialists as ministers. By breaking the law and violating the Weimar Constitution, the National Socialists abolished democracy and established a totalitarian dictatorship. In the next holiday video, we will return to Hannah Arendt. The topic will be anti-Semitism.